Hello and welcome to Far East Wargaming. We're bringing you another Heresy Thursday. This week I have alongside me Jason again,
Hello, everyone.
and what we've got is the latest release, Unlock the Power of Armored Spearheads with new Legion tank commanders. Exciting stuff. Jason, what do you think?
I'm super excited. I mean, compared to last week's announcement, this is heads above. But yeah, we'll get into the details in a little bit. But I have excitement about this one.
I'm on the fence, and my reasoning is because though everything does look cool just from a first glance, I just find it's not needed right now. In the sense, there's so many other things that adding more again for the two box legions, Imperial Fists and Sons of Horus. I think very much two legions that just didn't need anything extra in the near or even like distant future.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I can totally see that point. But I have a couple different angles on this, and I'll start with the first one on why I'm so excited. As a hobbyist, there is so much potential in this, so much. I mean, we've got a bionic arm that my Iron Hands are going to love. We've got a banner guy that is a character, but I guess I mean the article says that this guy's going to be a new character. I'm assuming in the new book. We've got a pintle-mounted assault cannon, which isn't just Imperial Fist, but we could also have our Blood Angel brothers that can get use out of that. New heads. Yeah, I mean the hobby potential in this little announcement to me is amazing, and I'm really looking forward to actually breaking this kit open and using some of these bits outside of the intended purpose.
I think that's kind of a great part of it where we're doing it outside of the intended purpose. Because I was looking at the models and the sculpts look amazing. I'll give GW, they're putting out some amazing sculpts. The bionic arm, easily swappable. I didn't see anything there that so far couldn't be converted into one of the Iron Hands or the Iron Warriors. Two legions that would love something like this. The fact is, I had a quick look at the sprue that we normally get with the tanks that has a marine popping out the top, and it's all interchangeable with this stuff. It looks that way anyway. So there's the added bonus there. So it's for the Imperial Fists and the Sons of Horus. It's a great little pièce de résistance on top of a tank, even if you don't play it as the two characters. But yes, definitely a lot of hobby potential. And the standard bearer could quite easily be made a herald because you just take the torso and then change one of the arms out. And that's a herald for the Sons of Horus. Or even some of the other chaotic ones. You can quite easily probably shave off some of the decals on that banner.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the banner, you're right, it could be used as a herald, it could be used in a command squad. Uh, File off that eye, do a little bit of green stuff, and I mean, you have a banner that can be usable basically by loyalists or the traders. If you like your army banners or your herald banners a lot bigger than this one, this could very easily be used as a vexilla in some units. Um, Again, I think there's a lot of hobby potential in this one, and that's why I'm really excited about it. Spot on your observation. Do we really need tank commanders at this point? No, probably not. I mean, it's not the plastic Mark Fives that we all want. It's not the plastic assault marines and breachers. Uh, but yeah, the hobbyist me is really giddy about this.
Yeah, I think that I can understand why they're doing it. One, it's the two main legions, and tanks haven't been well, been getting love in the sense that they have been getting models, but they're just not really viable in the current edition. I think we talked about this last week when we were talking about the tanks themselves, or the disappointing release of the disappointing announcement that resin is staying for some of the larger ones that we want to see. But maybe this does give the armored spearhead, as it's trying to establish here, a bit more versatility because the rules are quite interesting.
They are. I think an armored spearhead is going to really love this. I think some of the legions that tend to emphasize armor, again, my Iron Hands coming back to that. I think there's definitely some usage out of this character. I haven't read the rules completely in depth just yet, but I think if you are running a vehicle heavy list, which is not as common, admittedly, in 2.0 meta, but if you are running that type of list, then this could be a cool little addition.
Well, let's look at the the advanced reaction now. And this is the one thing you have to bear in mind. It's an advanced reaction, not a reaction. So the question is it acting like other advanced reactions where it's a once per game thing? Or is this a reaction they're calling advanced reaction just because it's not part of the core reaction set, but it's eligible for multiple uses?
Yeah, that's a great question. I didn't even spot that. The advanced reaction, yeah, does that replace your Legion advanced reaction? Is it only usable by certain legions? I guess we would probably have to see the upcoming book about the Siege of Chthonia. We'd probably have to understand a little bit more on how that interacts with the existing rules.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed it's not a typo, right? Because, let's be honest, GW has been known to do that a bit with 2.0. But yeah, it's an interesting observation.
Well, they've said that there's two, for every legion they get the access to a Decurion Locus and a Decurion Defensor, whatever those are. And both of those guys give this new advanced reaction point defense. So tanks, and again, it depends on how many times we can buy one of these tank commanders. Is it only once per legion? We have to see this new book. But the rule itself, the point defense, is a interesting take on the tanks reactions, because tanks reactions have been quite weak in the past because everything is on defensive weapons, and the nature of the defensive weapons means they're weaker. So when they're getting shot at by other vehicles per se, they're less likely to waste that reaction point and fire back because it can't do much.
Yeah, I mean they're weaker against everybody's favorite, a 10-man heavy support squad with las cannons. I mean, shooting back at them with only your heavy bolters probably just a waste of your reaction. So that's a fair point. I'll put my tinfoil hat on for a second. I mean, maybe this is Games Workshop's way of acknowledging that perhaps they nerfed vehicles a little too much, and they're trying to bump them up a little bit and make them a little bit more useful and encourage a bit more variety, which would be a good thing. So yeah, I'm keen to see how this rule really works in the context of the full book.
Well, yeah, and I think one of the things we've identified, especially in our hobby group, is the benefit of pintle-mounted weapons, because anything that's pintle-mounted gets to fight in the reaction, and it's very stated clearly here that the pintle-mounted weapons are there. So a pintle-mounted weapon getting to fire twice, that's 2 melter shots that could potentially take out the other vehicle that's shooting at you, or take out a tank, or a squad that's shooting at you. So if they're in distance of 24 inches anyway for the multi-melter.
Oh, absolutely. And then if you take again, let's come back to the example of the assault cannon for Imperial Fist or the assault cannon for Blood Angels. That's 2 rounds of assault cannon shots, more chances to rend, more chances to do nasty things. This reaction on a Sicaran Punisher, which already puts out an amazing amount of firepower between the turret, and if you take heavy bolter sponsons and the whole bolter and the pintle-mounted bolter, I mean, this is a brutal reaction on a Sicaran Punisher.
Yeah, it does state that you can't use the turret, so that does nerf the Punisher a bit, which turret is normally eligible in a reaction on that because of the strength or the low strength of the weapon. So, but yes, you'd be shooting back with all the heavy bolters on the sides. It's just a lot of shots coming back, and you're doubling one of them. You're doubling the shots on the pintle. The one thing that's really interesting is the way their new special characters. So they've stated 2. They stated, I think it was for the Imperial Fist, it's a Decurion, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Sagittaire. And they've given us the rules for this guy. And what it basically gives is Skyfire and Precision Shot on a 5+. That there is, and that's for any shooting attack done by a defensive or pintle-mounted weapon, with the ability to target other units as well. So it's putting in machine spirit at the same time.
I think you'll get more mileage out of precision shots than you will Skyfire. I mean, let's be honest. In most cases right now, flyers are not in the best of places, with all the augury scanners and the interceptor reaction and a single cheap Xiphon being able to do its little reaction as well. I think you'll definitely get a lot more use out of the precision shots. Why not snipe that character, or why not snipe that apothecary or that Vexilla or that augury scanner? So yeah, that's quite useful.
Yeah, precision shooting at a different unit with, for instance, let's take the Sicaran itself, a normal Sicaran. You throw a multi-melter on top, and you can suddenly target the chaplain or the praetor who's in a squad next to you. And on a 5+, you can select them, and that's a instant killing weapon. that's a nasty surprise to get.
Yep, for sure. I don't know. I keep scrolling through the article and I keep coming back just to the models themselves, and all the rules discussion is great. But I find new things when I look at the pictures. I'm looking at the alternative heads, the Mark III head on the Imperial Fist guy, the tricked out, blinged out Mark IV head on the Sons of Horus guy. I mean, yeah, I can see a spot for those in some other legions.
Yeah, we can look at. I looked at it as well. The thing is that they've got some nice Legion specific stuff. So the backpack connector for the Imperial Fists is its Legion number 7 is engraved into it, whilst the standard one you get with this with the plastic model from the kit doesn't have that. So it does, but the body itself is very Imperial Fist specific. So again, nice to put on a character of some sort. It doesn't have to be this tank commander.
Yeah, we'll see if the torso and the legs pieces. Hopefully, those are separate. Fingers crossed, like they are in the plastic upgrade sprue. That torso will definitely get a lot of use for conversions on Imperial Fist characters. Same thing goes for the Sons of Horus guy. But even the Sons of Horus guy, you could make that torso look good on Space Wolves. It's got a little bit of that Space Wolves style trim. You've got the little, the Lodge token on his chest, which could just be a little Space Wolves bling. Maybe you could even use the ornate trim on a Blood Angels character. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities with this.
Yes, and a little tidbit: the banner itself has 2 wolves on the top, so Space Wolves have the access to a potential customized banner as well. There, that's pretty cool. I do really like that. The heavy bolter itself is also a different model of heavy bolter. It's got some extra bling on it, but it's also got something to do with the targeter on top. So I'm wondering, we're talking about the models themselves, and I'm going to swing back to the rules, how the Imperial Fist has one rule. We haven't seen the rules for the Sons of Horus one, but considering he's holding a banner himself, I'm going to guess it's going to be something around leadership. And that's a big thing in Horus Heresy at the moment, because leadership is something we struggle with. And if there's a potential to have just something along the lines of the Legion banner on a tank, that's quite a tanky unit that can suddenly pass you on the benefits.
For sure. Or is it a fearless bubble? We don't know if it's a fearless bubble like a lot of standards do today. Like out of a command squad or a herald. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words a little bit. But yeah, there's some interesting aspects to this that I really like.
Yeah, but it's definitely exciting. It's making me, and I think yourself included, look forward to the release of the actual campaign book, whenever that may be. Hopefully it's not too far into the future. I know GW is being very busy right now with the preparations for its next launch of 40k. So I'm just hoping we at Horus Heresy and the 30k community aren't going to get pushed further down the timeline, but hopefully around June maybe.
Yep, let's see. Yeah, let's see.
So
fingers crossed. Once it's available, it'll definitely be in my my next Forge World Order. Even though I don't play either of these legions.
Well, let's hope they do what they've been doing, especially out in Southeast Asia. The newer stuff's been available by Games Workshop. So for us, or actually for I think the rest of the world, not just us in Asia itself, being able to order from our local game store makes it vastly more appealing for us to buy, just because, one, we don't have to go into pounds and then have it shipped directly from the UK. But countries like ourselves, we don't have to pay the customs for it. It's all included in how GW bring in their models. So that's a big part.
Yeah, for sure. The last paragraph says it's from Forge World. You touched on a really, really good point for those of us outside of the UK or outside of the US. If they would just make things easier for us, the sales would probably go up, right? I mean, forego all the conversion shenanigans and everything else that we have to suffer, those of us in the rest of the world. More stuff needs to be available through Warhammer stores. I mean, like here in Kuala Lumpur, when they made the Primarchs available via the store, they sold a ton of them. Absolutely sold a ton of them. I don't know why they don't do more of that.
Yeah, it's a business decision we're not privy to as just the mere clients of GW. But I'm sure there's a method to their madness, or at least I hope there's a method to their madness. Sometimes it really doesn't feel like that is the case. so we can see.
That's a topic for another discussion.
So, well, look, is there anything else you want to add in about today's release? So these new Legion tank commanders before we move on quickly to something else.
Yeah, I'm scrolling again through the article. I don't really see anything else probably that sticks out. I just will say kudos, GW. I mean, I tend to go. Some people might say I go fanboy a little bit. I'm not. I mean, I'm pretty critical when I need to be critical, but I also like view the positives of this from the hobby perspective. I just think it's great.
Yeah, I can understand. From a hobbyist point of view, I do agree with you. It is a fantastic miniatures, and they have been releasing some great miniatures. I will give GW this. Everything they've released is crisp, and look, I do prefer a lot of the detail they have in the Forge World characters as opposed to what they kind of tend to release in plastic, and I think that's just nature of how molds are made. They can't do the same things as they can in a resin mold. So the level of detail just can't be there. And so I do like the Forge World stuff. And so I hope it continues to come out of Forge World for these special characters. But having stuff that's we want more than one of in a Legion, or just one for several of our Legions, having that in plastic is really important for us to make it accessible, this game. And because we have to overcome this hurdle of you need to buy Forge World to make your Legion better.
True, very true. I think there's some momentum, especially here in this part of the world, with the plastic sets and some of the plastic releases that they've done for the various vehicles and things like that. Keep it up, please keep it up. It's what's helped us bring a lot more players into the game, and not just the fact that there's Heresy 2.0. It's really the affordability aspect.
So I think really to summarize this latest announcement, there's joy that on the modeling side. For me, there's a bit of skepticism on we didn't really need this. There was more things that are more pressing in the queue, but a lot better than last week's announcement.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, well, that's a good caveat to what we wanted to move into, which was a bit more about last week's announcement. We did talk about it last week, and we were talking about how the sponsons are going to be added to the resin models. But there's one thing that I don't know if many people have realized. I've not seen it too much in the community, and it's to do with the Javelin. One, we were disappointed. The Javelin isn't coming in plastic, or at least with this announcement, it's being kicked further down the line. We can still be hopeful that something plastic will be available in the future. But right now, it's quite clear GW are going to keep the resin model of this lovely vehicle, which is terrible to assemble.
Yeah, it is terrible to assemble. Love the model, love the rules, love playing with it, love having it in my armies. But you're right. I mean, the assembly probably could be a lot better. But it's also, I don't know, let's call it early era, mid era Forge World Heresy stuff. So not all of that was obviously as crisp as the things that we're getting right now. But you raised a very interesting point in our separate discussions outside of these videos, which is, why does this Javelin have heavy bolt responses?
Well, that's exactly it. The Javelin isn't allowed heavy bolters. And the question comes again is, what is the Javelin allowed? And it comes standard with missile launchers. So we don't have a sprue for that. There's definitely not a upgrade because no other vehicle that I'm aware of can actually put missile launchers as sponsons. So are they going to release a plastic sprue specifically for the Javelin, or are they just going to modify the current resin sprue to make the resin suddenly have the same type of plastic attachment? And this is the question I don't really understand. Why show us a model with this heavy bolter on the side? You had plastic las cannons, put a las cannon on. But please, please, please don't tell me they're going to change the rules for the Javelin. That's the last thing I actually want to see.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. I mean, my legions that I already have javelins for, which is mostly just the Iron Hands, and then I have some assembled for the Night Lords, and then I think I have a couple assembled for World Eaters. Yeah, if you've already built those javelins, and now all of a sudden you have different options for heavy bolter, or, I mean, who knows? Are they going to put Volkite on these things?
Well, Volkite's available. Volkite is available on the Javelin. It is available as a Javelin sponsor.
Yeah, I guess what I mean is, what does the sprue look like for the Javelin? What does this mean for the Javelin? Because we know the existing plastic sprue has las cannons, that has Volkite, that has heavy bolters, but for the Javelin itself, where's the missile launcher option? Like you said, are they changing the rules again in the new book for the Javelin? Don't know. Remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Tinfoil hat.
Yeah, you're right. I'll say this: I have javelins with missile launchers on them, and sadly mine are glued on, so I haven't really got the option to switch out to the las cannons because in Heresy Point version 1, we'll call it, is the missile launchers. For me, in my opinion, were the better option. The las cannons weren't. But now in Heresy 2.0, the las cannons with Sunder are very, very viable, and so I think they're the preferred choice on most javelins, or at least what I'm looking for building in my new legions is very much the las cannon set. Heavy bolters, I just don't see the point of them being on a javelin. It doesn't add, because you do upgrade more or less immediately the javelin's heavy bolter pintle mount to a multi-melter. If you have the points, again, if you have the points. But it tends to fill the role of a tank killer or a tank hunter. And heavy bolters just don't do that. And they're very expensive if you're just talking about, if they do change the rules, it's going to have 2 heavy bolter sponsons and a heavy bolter on the pintle. So basically a 3 heavy bolter 90 plus points model at stock if the bolter comes as stock instead of the missile launchers. It's a very expensive model for 3 heavy bolters.
Agree. I mean, of course, Imperial Fists get the bonus out of the, having the bolter weapons on their units. But yeah, I agree with you. There's no real reason to run a heavy bolter sponson, heavy bolter pintle mount javelin. This is not going to do anything as good or better than so many other options. But I mean, it's cool. Rule of cool, great if you want to play that. Yeah, let's see. Where's the missile launcher sponsons? What does this mean for the javelin? Who knows? Will the new book talk about it?
Yeah, it's very true. I hope they do. I hope they do talk about it, and I hope they don't customize this. And like you kind of alluded to one of my biggest fears, that Imperial Fists get the benefit from this. Please don't just cater stuff around Imperial Fists. Games Workshop, Forge World, whoever's in charge, please. There are so many more legions that need a love right now that the Imperial Fists don't need another heavy bolter on any of our models.
I sense a little bit of jealousy. I feel your pain. Yeah.
Well, let's give the Dark Angels back their molecular acid shells, and then we can talk about heavy bolters.
As if Dark Angels also need a boost. Come on now. But yeah, I mean, let's give some love to the other legions. There's too many other legions that need some love, and hopefully that's in the pipeline.
Yeah, I hope so too. Salamanders are desperately in need of some love. There's just lots of legions who need some love. So anyway, well, look, I think is there anything else you wanted to add about what we discussed today, Jason?
No, not really. I think this pretty much covers it. Today's release, a little bit on the javelin. I think, yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, look. Thanks for joining me, and everybody who tuned in, thank you very much for coming to watch us at Far East Wargaming. We're going to be bringing this back to you every Thursday for the announcements for the Horus Heresy, and on Mondays we're trying to release new videos, battle reports, and army showcases, so please like and subscribe to stay tuned for our next videos. For now, speak to you soon.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a good one.